Okay, so this is how we're gonna do it. We're up to the electronical parts. So far, what it didn't add, I saw in the guide, is that every hot end that we have from Creality, sorry, it's upside down, has one fan in the front, which is your regular cooling fan for your hot end, and then you have a radial fan that's your part cooling fan, but we only have one, and we need two. So you buy a second one like you have on the list, and how do you connect it? There are multiple ways. I will teach you the cheat sheet way that I did. Cost you a little more, but it's definitely worth it in the long run as far as, you know, when you're in a pinch. So what I did is that I attached it to where it's supposed to be, and I ran the line through. I mean, you could do it up there, but this time I had extra cable because this is from another Ender 3 spare radial fan. So it had long enough wire, so I didn't want to splice. I didn't want to cut it over there and just, you know, have the wire dangling. So what I did is I ran the wire all the way through. I cut off the JST connector, right? And I saved it. And I'll show you in a minute why I saved it. And what I did is I spliced it into the existing line of the radial fan, the 4010 radial fan that we have. How did I do it? I didn't cut the wire. I didn't, you know, solder it together. I didn't put tape on it or heat shrink on it. All I did is I used this bad boy. I do not remember the name offhand. Someone will definitely remember the name for me. I have it on my Amazon Prime, shopping list. Forgot. Basically, you run a main line through here, the top, and main line through the bottom. You close it with the pliers. It clamps down, and it cuts into the wire itself. So it taps into the wire. I think called a wire tap. That's how I call it. Anyway. And then you put your new lines, which is the new fan that you need, and you put the two lines in here, and you match them up with the colors, you know, from the top and the bottom. And then you close both sides, and then you have a line that's tapped. So it uses the same feed of a fan that is already existing, and then I tapped it over here, if you can see, right over here. Yeah, this thing. And so basically, I have two for the price of one, because obviously I wouldn't be only using one fan at a time. I'd always be using two fans, and I put them in the right plug, which is the right. I'm gonna go over the plugs right now. Earlier we did a extension of the PSU power line, and we did 26 centimeters. You can go longer if you want. 26 was enough. So basically I ferruled them, and I tapped them, I heat shrink them, and I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean, because ferrules are very important. And I'm going to take out the red, or the positive. And that's what a ferrule looks like. They are super important to swap out your current plugs that go into terminals in any board and any printer, because what China does is they do this practice called tinning. And that's when they take the wires and then they just add some solder on the end. Many different reasonings for that, but the best reasoning that I've heard was that it's just easier for them to put it into the terminals and close on it. But the problem is that some terminals, like the Ender 3s, have super, not super high, but they have high electricity running through them, current. And what happens is that these wires can handle it, but the soldering is not really always graded for it. So what happens is the solder melts the terminal and creates a short or a fire or magic smoke, and it's caused a lot of injuries. Also, a lot of times the XT60 connectors that Ender 3s come with, the regular ones, are known to start a fire. Just look up Ender 3 XT60 and fires, and you'll see many pictures, and unfortunately has cost many homes. Okay, so let's put the PSU back in. Let's just remember the polarity is very important. The red goes towards the printer. The black, which is the negative, goes towards the outside of the printer terminal. And then we're going to make sure we put it in correctly. There's only one place on the board where it is. Also, I think for the stock 4.2, 4.2.27, all those boards have it also in the same area. The SKR E3 V3, which we're using right now, is meant to mimic those boards as a drop-in replacement. Okay, so let's continue. I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous video, but what I did here is, I think I did it towards the end, is I bent this fin of the Forgot what it's called, a blank right now. I bent the fin of this vent, yes, until it snapped out. This way I was able to fit through the LCD cable and the Z end stop cable, which we'll connect later. But let's go back into the board. So starting on the left, like most boards, it's X, and then it goes Y, and then it goes Z. There's two Z's on this board because sometimes people like to have two Z lead screws, two stepper motors for the Z axis. In this case, we don't have it because Ender 3s. And then the final one all the way to the right here is, I'll point to it, oops, is the, how do you say this, is the E extruder. So let's go zoom in. A little bit better zoom. Okay. Sorry if the camera's a little off. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Great. Perfect positioning. All right, so let's go into it. Remember I told you I cut that radial fan's JST connector and I kept it, and the reason why is because the standard cooling fan on an Ender 3 usually goes into the green terminals that are over here, and those are bare wires. And the issue with that is that on the SKR boards, it has to be a JST connector for that type of fan, for the fan that's always on cooling the hot end. So what I did is basically I spliced those cables together, yellow to yellow, blue to black, yellow to red, sorry, blue to black, and I plugged it in. And now I have the JST connector for the hot end fan. Let's continue. Now there is a case fan. That one already has a plug, and that one is the one that's closest to these terminals over here, and that's red and black. Plug it in. Then you've got your part cooling fans, which is right next to that. Perfect plug. Now, as far as your heat bed, you have a red and black plug. The black plug is closer towards this terminal, so it's on this side. The red plug is towards the inner, would be right over here. So it would be the second one. And then we continue again with the hot end thermistor. Now, the hot end thermistor has two cables and they're both red. Let me see if I have one offhand. Right here. As you can see, they're both red, and this one's not tinned. That's safe. So you would plug these in, doesn't make a difference which direction. And that goes into the next terminal right here. And then goes thermistors all the way to the right towards the corner of the bed, the farthest corner. You have a white thermistor. That should be your hot end thermistor. Plug that in over there. Then the next one to it will be your thermistor for your bed. Plug that in over there. And then we go to the end stops. These are the three end stops we have. Let me just double check. Yes. So it's going to go again, X, Y, and Z. So starting all the way from this side, which is next to the fans, would be X, Y, and then the Z. And then you're done. As far as cabling is concerned, you are completely done. And then we just close it up. So we would put all this wires in. I know I'm not putting it in the most nicest fashion. This is for the stepper motor of the belt. Also has to pass through here. If you have an Ender 3, it would be upside down, but you would still have a place to pop out one of those fins. And you would screw this in over here. This is very important to plug in, because if not, you won't have any movement on your belt. We said this is less important depending on what your firmware is, but for safety precautions, I'm going to put this in right here anyway. And this is your Z end stop, which is your belt end stop, which shouldn't have an end stop because it's infinity. You have your LCD cable, which goes all the way up here, all the way to the farthest left of this when you're facing the machine port. And then you would secure these in with two screws that are, three screws actually, one here, and one here on the bottom. Of course, I'm lazy. And they're 2.5 screws, I believe. Not actually, no, 3mm screws. And then you have your cables here outwards. As you can see, the cables are perfectly fine. Just a little bit messy. You can add a zip tie, which I probably am going to do right now, just to have a little bit of tidiness around the cables, to have them all together. It's nice to have them all together instead of all over the place. Tidiness helps, but obviously you don't want these cables to be too tight, so don't put them too tight. Don't put the zip ties too tight, just enough that you can slide them through, but they'll just be more neater together. After that, you have a bracket, which I'm currently printing to, but it says Ender Bender on it. It's on the files. It goes right here, smacks up the edge, and it's a press fit actually. You can use the screw holes with T-nuts, but you don't even need to. You could even actually add a screw here to secure it to the bed. It's more of a brace. And then you're connected here, and you're a bit neat. The back is open, it's good. You want ventilation, that's perfectly fine with me. Then you want to do the final part, which you have in other videos, which is the spool holder. This is a, the link is in the previous video. Look up in the channel for the spool holder. Works for any 40/40 extrusions. Literally just slide it in, pops on. You have your spool holder from that video. You put that in, boom. That's how it goes. Then you pop on your spool, and you're good to go. And that should be the end of the assembly video. If you liked all the videos, I know they're not professional as they should be, but with all that being said, I really hope that I was able to clarify some stuff for people. Yeah, so thank you again for watching all these crazy videos and taking the time out. Thank you again for having interest in these builds. If you want to give back, I do have a Patreon, but I'm not really good with it, so I just put up the PayPal links or Zelle links or even Venmo. If you guys feel like you're interested in buying me a coffee for all my efforts, I definitely appreciate it. Please build, please show a bunch of pictures, upgrade. Remember, this is open source, so you can take these files, these STLs, and you can make them into something even cooler. I know someone took my printer, plus the switch wire from Varon, plus the Ender loop, plus the Ender belt. He mashed all three together. I think it's Dave Carr, I don't remember offhand, he's on the group, but everyone's making their own variation, and that's exactly what I want to see. And I also want to see people reach out to me if they have any issues. I know someone's making a Chiron version. That's a 400mm printer. I know there's also S5 in the making. I'm working on with someone right now to make the Ender 3 V2, which is almost done also. But let's get all this all done. And since you watched the videos all the way to the end, I would like to announce, if I haven't announced earlier, the Never Ender. And that's going to be a 90-degree belt printer. It's been in the making for a while, but life gets in the way, so you have to put things on hold for a little bit. But now I'm back in action for a bit, and we're going to go forward with that with a fundraiser for that, and then we're going to make it. So stay tuned and enjoy this, and then please spread the word and let other people enjoy this build as well.